Welcome everyone back to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue. Our top story today will be focusing on a bidding war emerging between the cities of Manchester and London here in the UK in the hope of getting hold of a WWE Summerslam. That is right, the WWE are starting to shop around more than just the PLEs in between the big four. We are starting to look at something very big emerging in the UK scene. We will also be going into detail as regards the accusations of information being leaked to Dave Meltzer, and Dave Meltzer essentially being used to further those leaks. Plenty as regards Dave Meltzer, but also a little bit there on the same topic around PWInsider, Fightful, other areas which have unfortunately fallen for that sort of activity recently. We're going to talk the intergender match being pitched between Ria and Dom Mysterio, Carlito and his potential punishment by the WWE, Julia Hart's return, and a little bit to finish on Karrion Kross. That's right, we're going to finish on Karrion Kross. Be sure to hit like, particularly if you're excited about that. We have 34 people here, only 8 likes, 2 more gets us to 10. So let's keep that ball rolling. Also, one of the best things you can do to help this channel grow is called chat rate. The more you're chatting, the more we get things going. Don't worry about breaking things into multiple messages. Don't be concerned about the idea of spamming. Don't be concerned about just celebrating and saying hello to each other. Jump in, let me know you're there, and let's talk about it. So, we will of course start with our top story, which is the WWE currently hearing out a bidding war between the private sector and the public sector. The cities of Manchester and the City of London in the United Kingdom. The UK is hoping to get its hands on a SummerSlam. Let's talk that. SummerSlam is potentially headed to Manchester, England. Now, WrestleVotes previously reported Elimination Chamber in March would be going to the UK as the WWE continues to foster a strong relationship with Manchester City Football Club. Under the new UK government, the UK is open for business and open for investment. This creates an impending battle between Manchester City and London Mayor Sadiq Khan. In fact, this has put the UK itself into a bidding war between the public sector and the private sector. With this in mind, the WWE is seeing a lot of big numbers being thrown around, and they are ready to commit something bigger, knowing that the numbers on offer could be huge. At the same time, Sadiq Khan continues to entertain options and offers from from AEW also, and that is something that we need to be aware of. Sadiq Khan essentially does have other offers that make the City of London more money at the moment. The amount of money that would be outlaid to WWE would be a risk. However, SummerSlam is now a 2-day event, and that very much changes things. SummerSlam being a 2-day event has opened the door for some major investment, something that the City of London can offer basically because they already have the link with the new government. The next couple of years for SummerSlams are already locked down, but two Khans and a Cody have pledged internally to have a major WWE event within the next 5 years. This is one that's going to last, but I'll keep you informed. The WWE are still of the intention of ensuring that one PLE every year, as I've previously reported, will go to the United Kingdom. SummerSlam so far has not been able to go anywhere because the WWE remain confident it should maintain a North American event. However, the WWE, as we know, are trying to ensure that they stay as international as possible. The UK have always been a very strong partner to them, and while they are looking at options including countries like Italy, China and Japan, the WWE are definitely interested in continuing to foster this, and they are willing to bet that they will receive and achieve large sums of money from Manchester City Football Club in order to get this over the line. Manchester and the private sector, London and the public sector are currently engaging in a bidding war in the hopes of getting the WWE to commit to a SummerSlam event in the UK. I'm now going to start with a quick catch-up of the chat before we get to our next piece of news. We have 61 people watching, only the 18 likes. We can do better than that. Keep that coming. And be sure to chat amongst yourselves about the news coming out if you want to keep that chat rate going as well. Welcome Wiggly, welcome Spider Boss as well. Bailey says, how many matches are planned for Crown Jewel? Typically they do 5. I'd imagine that's not going to change. Daniel says, happy Friday. Welcome, Daniel. Marcel says, hi, Tom and chat. How are you all? Doing well, thank you, Marcel. Welcome to the show. And thank you, because I can see you saying hi to each person individually. Massive help to the chat rate. Thank you, mate. Ed says they are shutting down the prolific leakers. They are indeed. More on that shortly. Michael says, hi, Tom. Welcome, Michael. 37 months. Wow. Huge number. Thank you, Wiggly, for subscribing for a 37th month. That is a more than 3-year commitment that you have made to this channel, sir, and I appreciate you for it. Calvin says, what's up, Tom? Now that A-Town Down Under are not splitting right now, what are they going to do with them? There's no other way they'll be involved in the tag title picture. As I previously mentioned, when it comes to A-Town Down Under, Triple H just seems to have stopped caring, and it shows. Wiggly, thank you for sourcing. There are Wiggly, and that is of great interest to them, but what I will say is that the city of Manchester is not the main proponent of bids for the WWE. Calvin says, how do you see them splitting towards WrestleMania or next summer? Sorry, what do you mean splitting? Wiggly says it would be great for Manchester and also Man City redeveloping the area around the stadium into some kind of mega entertainment complex and mini city. So it would be great to do that. Imagine having Raw and SmackDown access in the Co-op Arena and then SummerSlam 2 days at the Etihad. I've been mentioning in the last few shows that is something that they are exploring. Spider-Boss says WWE should do more pay-per-views in the UK. UK crowds are better than American crowds. What I will say is that American crowds are catching up. Dad says, is any of Raw going on SmackDown tonight? Do you know, and if yes, who? By that, do you mean, for example, Jey Uso? He has a reason to be there. Noob says, hello, Mr. Colohue. How are you doing today? Doing very well, thank you, Noob. Welcome to the show. Always glad to see you. Sessa says, good afternoon, everyone. Hope all is well. Your thoughts on Wire 6 and Final Testament? Karrion is really good. I hope Bo is ready for the promo battles. Back watching the pig. The pig has indeed returned. Daz also drops a watch the pig. I think this is a logical next step. I did mention on Monday, I think it was last week, that that Bray Wyatt was heavily interested and heavily invested in working with Karrion Kross. We are now where we are with that one. Honestly, I'm excited for it. More on Karrion Kross later. Angel says, Tom, when do you think Randy versus Cody will happen? In my opinion, it's only a feud for Mania, not SummerSlam or any other PLE. I believe it will kick in after WrestleMania. Ed says, based on the UFC going to Saudi as often as possible, is it likely WWE signs a new deal with Saudi when the current one runs out in a few years? Please tell us no. Triple H, does not want a new deal with Saudi Arabia. Triple H is also not the guy who does the new deals. Nick Khan wants a new deal with Saudi Arabia. Things have already started in motion. Ray says, I'm really looking forward to TNA. Cool. Danielle says, evening Tom, Nakamura back tonight, possibly. That is something that PWInsider are reporting. Previously, PWInsider have also reported AJ Styles is back, and that didn't quite happen. We'll talk about that more soon. I would suggest that they'll be right on this one. Welcome, Mick. Also, perfect use of chat rate. Says, hi, Tom. Hi, chat. Hi, all. 3 separate messages. Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Welcome to the show. Kelly says, hello, everyone. Hello, Kelly. Good to see you. Trekipedia says, good afternoon, everyone. And I believe in Joe Hendry. Also says, everyone help out tomorrow. And I imagine that's meant to say Tom. With a like, sharing out the stream, and subbing, please. Thank you, Trekipedia. Appreciate that. 69 people here, which I've got to say, nice number. Absolutely. Nice number. Hector says, afternoon Tom, any plans to have any more Tyson Fury appearances in the future? I believe his last appearance was a 2023 Clash, but I may be wrong. I believe you're correct. Interest in Tyson Fury is at an all-time low. Triple H is not really interested in that sort of competitor. Nick Khan is, but Nick Khan got Goldberg. Triple H will get his way every now and then. Calvin says, do you see Theory and Waller splitting towards WrestleMania? or next summer. I can't necessarily commit to either. I don't actually believe that this is going to happen at a time that's convenient for them. Shah Game says, happy Friday, Tom. Do you have any information regarding Wardlow? No, unfortunately, no. Yes, Wiggly, that's exactly what I'm saying. Bailey says, Leon set a standard for PLEs that has not been matched since. I agree. Calvin says, do you think Triple H is doing to Fury what Vince did to the NXT stars when Triple H was running NXT? No, Vince McMahon did it intentionally. Dad says, Tom, who's next for Cody after Gunter? We start building towards The Rock. Kevin Owens will be the intermediary. Spider-Boss says, after what happened on Raw, I think we're close to seeing the OG Bloodline reunion soon. It'll be fun when Roman says yeet. Roman will say yeet. I'm putting money on it. I'm stating it right now. Roman Reigns will yeet. Throwing it out there. As I says, I see Jay calling Solo out tonight on SmackDown. Bliss Gamer says, howdy everyone. Excited for the Wyatt 6 versus the Final Testament feud. Everton Graff says, hello Tom. Welcome Everton Graff, good to see you. And Spider-Boss says, I wonder if WWE put effort to book Liv's title reign. Liv's entire title reign has been more about Dom. Yes, the creative team have actually been involved in it. If that surprises you, you're watching the wrong show. Everton Graff says, Braun versus Jacob in the works. No, at the moment they're just teasing. They're on different shows at the moment, and to my knowledge there's no real plan to have that crossover until next year. I wouldn't say it's likely, but the WWE is teasing future storylines. Sid says, keep WWE PLEs coming to the UK because I like the time, start and end times. I agree. Survivor Series apparently over here in the UK will be starting at 10:30 at night. That's a great time. I have no issue whatsoever with that. None whatsoever. Honestly, happy boy. Happy boy. Next piece of news is as regards the leaking of information that has been reported going to Dave Meltzer. First and foremost, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll already be aware. Yes, I can confirm that this exact thing has happened and not just to Dave Meltzer. 65 people here, 28 likes, give us 2 more and we can get that up to 30. Firstly, the information that apparently was leaked to Meltzer that was incorrect was as regards Kevin Owens' contract. It is suggested by Cultaholic and I believe by Voices of Wrestling. I'm not sure whether it was Voices of Wrestling reporting as regards the Kevin Owens information, that the contract has already been signed. I can confirm that the Kevin Owens contract has not been signed. However, Kevin Owens is said to have no interest in going to AEW. As I've been reporting for several weeks now, the WWE remain confident that they will have Kevin Owens' signature before the end of the year and will announce it early next year. It's also true that the WWE are doing everything in their power to confuse this prospect, including, right now, a storyline where Kevin Owens is running out of time to get stuff done. This is fairly standard now and was in fact also the intention with AJ Styles and his impending retirement storyline, which has not yet happened. That is the situation with Kevin Owens. There is no intention, to my knowledge, for Kevin Owens to go to AEW. Now, the WWE also recently tricked a number of other outlets. It's not just Dave Meltzer. For example, with PWInsider, they reported that Samantha Irvin had essentially waylaid the WWE and told them only on the day she announced she was leaving that she was going to go. Naturally, Samantha Irvin corrected this, but also, just in general, this was in no way true. In fact, PWInsider have now corrected the record and reported what I've already said, that while there is interest from AEW, Samantha Irvin actually left the WWE because she was looking to pursue outside endeavours in a similar route to what happened with Renee Young. Now, I do believe eventually we are likely to see Samantha Irvin working with AEW. However, as I said, that is not her first priority. What she wants is out of the exclusivity deal, and it's good to see that PWInsider, a second time of asking, have been able to get that right. The WWE also caught out Fightful, who reported AJ Styles being injured in kayfabe and not in reality. That is the report that I shared here, so I'm somewhat culpable for sharing that information. Fightful were corrected by Dave Meltzer, who is of course the first name in this, being tricked. So it's all a bit rock, paper, scissors. The WWE have long been aware, and Triple H in particular has long been trying to weed out prolific leakers within the WWE. People who consistently leaked information that should not have been leaked. The WWE have been trying to find out who, and lately Triple H has been succeeding. He has been finding out exactly who is sharing that information, and you'll notice, or you won't, that they've been dropping down the card. This is also, by the way, question for you, and please, everyone who can answer this, do so. When's the last time you heard anything from Nick Hausman? Feel like that's long enough to answer. When's the last time you heard anything from Nick Hausman? I can answer that question for you. Right after CM Punk rejoined the WWE, Nick Hausman went real quiet. He unfortunately was in a position of having built his entire reputation on news about CM Punk. And then CM Punk stopped talking. My most viewed video on YouTube is my video stating that CM Punk was using Nick Hausman with plentiful evidence of that to rejoin the WWE. CM Punk succeeded. There was no longer a need to use wrestling media in this way. When's the last time you heard from Nick Hausman? Back to catching up with the chat. Pardon me. This guy says, I know you've reported WWE worried about using Tegan Nox because they believe she's injury prone. Does that mean they're sitting her at home until her contract runs out, or will she be back on TV when SmackDown gets a third hour? If there's a third hour on SmackDown, it's going to be difficult to say for sure. What I will say is that right now, creative have nothing for Tegan Nox, and despite Triple H having requested something for her, still nothing has arrived. Juan, just to be clear, PWInsider have not reported that Samantha Irving will never join AEW. It would be incredibly irresponsible of anyone to report that something will never happen. Everton says, thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Keep up the good work with the channel. Appreciate you, Everton. Thanks for dropping in. They do, Wiggly. They do indeed. That'll be an interesting time. Spoiler warning, always loses time a little bit. So just to be clear, guys, the clocks do go forwards. I believe it's this weekend. Actually back. The clocks go back this weekend, which means, spoiler warning, will be at a slightly different time in America. It will not be at a different time in the UK, but will be an hour out of sync in the US. Keep an eye out for it. I will update my announcement tweets so everyone is aware of that. Also, we're now to 85 people watching, 33 likes. Keep them coming, guys. Shark Game says, speaking of future storylines, we're getting Damage Control versus Julia Vaca soon. Hopefully. That's the intention. Hopefully. Sean says, hello, Tom. Welcome, Sean. And said, Delta is going by the name Zarya. Do you know why? Did they not get the rights to the Delta name? No, Delta, unfortunately, is a massive can of worms. Delta Airlines, Delta everything. It's better to steer clear. Aaron says, should we expect a roster shake of a sort before the Netflix Raw debut? No. Kai says, I'd love to see Reigns, Roman versus Luther to see who's a better Reigns. It's Roman. We all know it. Everton says, will Goldberg cost the Ring General at Crown Jewel? No, I don't think he will. Sean says, Ricochet said Samantha isn't going to AEW because at the moment, that's not the plan. Forever is a very different word. Sid says, will AJ Styles show up at Bound for Glory? I suspect not. He's injured. Ayush says, why are TNA wrestlers being absent from NXT? Because they're not contracted to be there. Hector says, how well do you think Triple H has done in making us believe that Solo can actually beat Roman? With Crown Jewel coming up, I'm still on the fence. I get that Solo should win, but it's not really believable. I don't think he's done a good job at all of making that believable, given that anytime they've been anywhere near a ring together, Roman has come out with the win. Galvin says, Austin Theory needs to go off script and just knock out Triple H in the ring, at which point he gets fired and he's gone forever. Spider-Boss says, I haven't seen any news from Nick Hausman after CM Punk joined WWE at Survivor Series 2023. Daz also confirms not heard from him. Michael says, forgot about that CM Punk stuff. was thinking about all the Jericho stuff that Hausman said. Also true, and let's just say that didn't help the situation. Juan says, thank you, Tom, for rephrasing PWInsider on Samantha Irvin to AEW. Is TK tricking the media as well? It looks like everything leaks from AEW, then WWE beforehand. There is an element of media control. I'm sure many of you are aware that a number of deals were done with wrestling media when AEW was first born, and it did amount to access in exchange for favourable coverage. It's not a surprise. Badaboss says, remember Nick Hausman tried to cancel Jericho last year, but nothing happened, and now Jericho is a 2-time Ring of Honor champion. On Friday, I did report that a creative redirection was taking place in AEW, and there would be more focus on people like Chris Jericho. Hector says, Io Sky Kairi Sane interaction with Julia and Stephanie Vaca on NXT was a nice touch. Definitely would make some good matches, that's for sure. Indeed it would, and it would potentially get the best out of Julia because there wouldn't be the intensity of the language barrier to the same degree. I'm just going to check what's happening here. Fair enough, Ed. Trekipedia says, last time we heard from Hausman, it was when he was saying things about Jericho and PDAs. Spiderboss says, do you see Julia and Stephanie Vaca winning at Halloween Havoc? Yes, I do. And Eric says, evening, Tom Colohue, how you doing? Last Sunday night, Asuka, through her Kana-chan TV video, said her knee recovery is going very well. It is indeed. I'm still not expecting to see her reappear immediately, but she's not too far away. Blue says, hi Tom, did you see Lanza from Voices of Wrestling saying WWE is trying to discredit Meltzer by keeping Owens potentially re-signing under wraps? Doesn't Dave do that enough himself? My coverage on that was about 5 minutes ago. By all means, just drop it back and you'll see well there. More news. Next up, there is, as has been mentioned a couple of times, talk of an intergender match between Rhea Ripley and Dominik Mysterio. This is something that the WWE do want to make happen, and Triple H is trying to be very careful with. Dominik Mysterio is more than happy and has communicated to management that he wants to get beaten up for about 5 minutes by Rhea Ripley. He'll happily be pinned and ultimately get beaten up by more people as well. Dominik Mysterio is more than happy for that because, to be blunt, he would not be permitted to get any real offense in. Instead, what would happen is that Rhea Ripley would beat up Dominik Mysterio, Liv Morgan would get a cheap shot, Dominik would put in a couple of rest holds, then Rhea Ripley would beat him up and pin him. We're not expecting the end of days to Becky Lynch moment this time around, though the WWE are still pretty confident that they'll be able to pull off the intergender match with Rhea Ripley and Dominik Mysterio. Yes, WWE are confident that they can pull off Dominik Mysterio. 85 people watching, 36 likes, 4 more get us up to 40. Let's keep that ball rolling. Sean says, what do you think Becky's announcement will be on November 17th? I hope it's her saying she signed a new deal with WWE. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Alyssa says, what is rumours triple threat at WrestleMania, Cody versus Rock versus Roman Reigns? I would question who is rumours. Wiggly says, Tom, to ask what's happening about Carlito. Heard some comment he made on Raw about Io and Kairi was off script. He may be garnering heat from it. That will be our next piece of news. David says, when will we see the Usos reunite as a tag team? Relatively soon now. Blue says, the issue with Solo is he himself just isn't credible. He was fine as a heavy, but he's done poorly since he's had to be the face of the group. What I will say is I feel he is improving in that, but he was very much thrown in at the deep end because of a lack of Roman and a lack of The Rock. Ayush says, why do Fightful have so much info about expiring WWE contracts but not much of AEW? Because of their sources. This is actually very telling of where their sources are, and it's information that Triple H have been able to use in order to spot the prolific leakers. Bailey says, just an opinion, but Tegan Nox is not in a good place if there is no creative support. It can't be good if all NXT talent ready to move up and take some spots on TV. No. Sid says the YouTube stream is going perfect. Thank you very kindly, Sid. The other Mike says, haven't noticed anybody who fell several down the card. Give me another hint. I'm not going to give you an exact name, mate. Can't do it. Trekipedia says, I think there's also a female wrestler in CMLL named Delta. Maybe, but that wouldn't phase of WWE at all if that was the case. Rosal says, any update on Charlotte? Still recovering well, not far from a return. They're waiting for everything to line up with Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. Bismo says, good evening, Tom. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Doing very well, thank you, Bismo. Did I say something wrong there, Spider-Boss? I do apologise. Sid says, are you liking Rosemary and Wendy Chu teaming up? Yeah, anything involving Rosemary, I'm a happy boy. Bailey says that end of days move on Becky was great. Both made it work. They did, and it was very necessary because otherwise Becky Lynch would have beaten up Brock Lesnar. Yeah. David, not as of yet. Bought it for my daughter and she hasn't read it, so I haven't been able to get hold of it. I just take it. Shark Game says, is there a chance we get a match featuring ECW legend during the NXT 2300 episode? Possible, more likely just a brief appearance. Cecil says, any future plans for Otis and friends? I know that we saw them a couple of weeks ago, but I really thought Otis was about to get a push. Fans really love him. Maybe it's just me. Unfortunately, at this point in time, there is nothing seriously in place for Otis. It's a shame considering what they were building to, but the pivot to the Wyatt Six hurt everyone involved with Chad Gable. AH says, it is bad because they make info to AEW who can make a higher money offer to turn the minds. Any shared information, any leaked information has that potential, mate. Trekkipedia says, free away from 40 likes. Keep it going, please, folks. Thank you kindly. Spider-Boss says, Carlito's incident on Raw was just a joke. Carlito is the R-Truth of the version of the Judgment Day. Io and Kyrie didn't seem offended by Carlito's joke. Io and Kyrie, just to be clear, were still acting. You don't know them personally. Alyssa says, more excited Halloween Havoc than Crowd Jewels. No hype around show. Sean says, your thoughts on Bron winning back the IC title? I didn't like it. I expected Bron Breakker to be the Intercontinental Champion again in very short order. I'm not surprised by this. Ray says, I'd like to see more intergender matches in WWE and AEW. You will not be getting your wish, unfortunately, Ray. Next piece of news. This is as regards Carlito. Now, I'm told by the WWE that Carlito will be undergoing some form of punishment from the company. Though at this point in time, there is a lot of questions as to whether he's adding much value in the WWE anyway. Whilst his ad-lib comments apparently did not insult anyone within the WWE, and that does include Io Sky and Kairi Sane, the WWE are concerned about sponsors being offended by what might be considered WWE institutional racism, particularly as we move into the Netflix era. Personally, what I see happening is that the WWE will take no action against Carlito, but will leak to the media that they are indeed taking action against Carlito. That's what I expect will happen. That we'll be told that horrible things are happening. We'll be told that Carlito is being absolutely demolished backstage. In reality, what I expect to happen is that Triple H will call Carlito into the office and say, you know that thing you did? Don't. And that will be the end of it. Sometimes a spade, guys. Sometimes a spade. AH says, was Raj Giri correct? The Malachi Black's contract is expiring in January. I believe he was, yes. I've not been able to confirm it, but I don't see any reason to doubt that report. What I have been told was that Malachi Black's contract does expire next year, and that he's as interested in the WWE as they are in him. Trekkipedia says 40 likes. Keep it going, folks. Let's get to 50. Dan says evening. Evening, Dan. Good to see you. Sean says, do you believe the report by PWInsider that Shinsuke is returning on tonight's SmackDown? It's a difficult one because, as I say, they have reported multiple times in the past incorrectly that AJ Styles would be returning and then he wasn't. So it's difficult when it comes to the PWInsider say this person's returning. That said, personally, I do find it likely. I just don't think there's much value in him right now, and that makes things awkward. I don't think a Shinsuke Nakamura return would add a lot. So I suspect potentially he'll be parachuted in to the LA Knight United States Championship picture. Basically the replacement for AJ Styles. Marcel is hoping for Malachi in the Rumble. I find that unlikely. Sean says, do you see Motor City Machine Guns beating DIY tonight? Personally, no. I see them getting attacked by heels and then we go to a 8-man tag next week. While we establish Motor City Machine Guns as the good guys, they need good guy friends. Trekkipedia, not to my knowledge. Yes, this guy, the WWE do have big plans for Motor City Machine Guns. Trekkipedia, that's pretty much what I'd expect as well. Wiggly quite rightly says, Io and Kairi weren't going to react on screen. Whether or not it was a joke in this age and given in the US, there's been a lot made about Asian racial hatred on the rise. It was at best really silly and clumsy. I do agree with that, particularly if it was an ad-lib. Just don't. Just don't do it. If you can't think of anything that's non-racial, then get a new writer. Maybe learn some things. There were better options he had. He could have actually just said Japanese. And then it becomes a little bit tongue-in-cheek flirtatious. What the hell? Dan says, wasn't PWInsider also the ones that claimed Samantha Irving quit on 3 hours notice, which just isn't true at all? Yeah, they did do that. They did do that. It's good that they've since corrected the record. It's another area in which I'm quite proud of what we're able to do here, because what we're seeing from PWInsider now is them confirming what has already been reported here, which is good because that really helps the reputation here and also ensures that the right information is getting out. One of the things I try to do here, and one of the reasons that news never goes behind a paywall, I want the right information to be the only information. That's it. That's it. Liv did, Sean. That was actually in my shorts. Leon says, when was the last time Shinsuke had a great match? Honestly, apart from the first match with Sami Zayn, I can't really think of any great matches he's had, at least on the main roster. I've liked quite a lot of his matches. I don't necessarily think I've loved any of them. What I will say, in NXT, his matches with Samoa Joe need a mention as well. Trekkipedia says people keep bringing up the fans yell stupid stuff at Io. Like, I'm sure she doesn't want to be reminded of that. Yeah, the what chant is sort of inherently racist. It needs to stop. Sean says, with Kazarian as a guest ref now, I don't see Joe Hendry winning the title. What do you think? Don't know. Hector says, Tom, who do you see as the logical next opponent for Braun? I'd be down for Ray-Braun feud, to be honest. Kofi Kingston seems the obvious one, though I do think Jey Uso's not quite done with him yet. Razar says, I don't know. PWInsider and Meltzer have been having a lot of misses lately. Feel like WWE is getting better at hiding things. They absolutely are. Nobody knew about Goldberg. Nobody. Even people with incredibly good reputations, like I've mentioned earlier, Fightful, who historically have a great record, got the AJ Styles news wrong. These things do happen. Chris says, good evening, Tom. Good evening, Chris. And Ayush says, Phoenix not coming, with Phoenix not coming, will WWE be interested in using Penta as a single star? Possibly. I found it unlikely. This guy says, does WWE believe they will lock in a contract with Sami and AJ as well? Yeah. WWE remains confident that Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn and AJ Styles will sign new deals. I would suggest that AJ Styles is the least likely to sign a new deal, but if they're able to offer him work with TNA, which is something on the docket, I do suspect they'll get their wish. Trekkipedia says, people ask me about when someone yelled stupid racist stuff at Io. I told them, I wouldn't mind to be the fan who yells stupid stuff at someone who could beat me up. Io could destroy most of the fans, however, she shouldn't have to. It shouldn't come down to, it's not racist because, and I know you're not saying this, just to be clear. It's not racist because she can beat them up. Racism is racism. And unfortunately, there are areas of the world where it's more prevalent than others. It shouldn't be something that Io Sky carries saying that anyone has to just put up with. It shouldn't be. But it is. And that sucks. Sucks. It is what it is. Chris says, we're all human. There have been times where I've incorrectly reported things on Turnbuckle Talk and I've corrected it. I do feel, though, the misinformation is an extension of, an intentional PR choice to change the way that they present themselves to the media. I would also point out, one thing worth mentioning is that PWInsider and Fightful were also recently called out by Triple H. And while many people chose to believe Fightful and PWInsider, A lot of people chose to believe Triple H. There does seem to be a systematic attack going on with wrestling media at the moment, and a push towards mainstream media involvement instead. And honestly, I get why they're doing it, but it does mean someone like me, overall, my business model might become completely untenable, infeasible, untenable. So that's something I'm going to need to consider. Trekopedia says, agreed, Tom, exactly, and thank you for knowing what I mean too. I always was taught, treat everyone with respect. Exactly. It's called the platinum rule. For a while, everyone in business was talking about the golden rule, treat everyone the same. Then they realised that people are different and should be treated differently. A black man has a different experience to a white man. You should treat a black man like a black man. It's why Triple H's recent comments about, I don't see colour, basically means he doesn't see the individual challenges, he doesn't recognise culture. It's not good. And I know that I'm not the best messenger for this, being a sexuality questionable white man. I'm not the best messenger for this. There are better people who can make this point and are making this point. What I will say is that the WWE often struggles to get away from accusations of racism. They don't have answers, and that upsets me. Spider-Boss says, do you think Lashley will appear on NXT next week? Anytime soon. Sean says, a couple of other people we haven't heard anything from in a while is Boozer and Zero News. True. They come and they go. And what I will say, we also haven't heard a lot from Worked Wrestling until recently when it's popped back up. And yeah, not doing great so far. There's a couple of people who started being a lot more careful recently. And their names suddenly aren't all over my Twitter feed the way they used to be. Calvin says, is it a possibility that superstars that aren't featured on SmackDown will get a chance to shine when SmackDown goes 3 hours? Possibly, yes. They will need to fill the roster out. Michael says, as long as whoever in the media retracts their story, that's fine. But then it's another thing to delete a tweet and act like it never happened. That does happen. And I've in fact caught outlets that I've mentioned today deleting reports. There was a report in 2020, right after Charlotte Flair won the Royal Rumble, that she would appear right after the Royal Rumble on that night's NXT. I know that report existed, but a day later, a day after it was proven wrong, I suddenly couldn't find it. Retractions are important, and wrestling media just doesn't seem to give a fuck. Dominic says, hi Tom, was wondering when The Rock might come back. Do you know LA Knight's next opponent is going to be? Thank you. Personally, my expectation is that Andrade would make the ideal next opponent for LA Knight. Though Shinsuke Nakamura is indeed returning, that's where I would suggest he would go. Kevin says, how long can you see WWE continue this momentum? Because you cannot be hot for so long. They're doing well. They should keep going. Wiggly said, at the end of the day, why do jokes have to reference race or ethnicity anyway? Is Carlito that stupid he couldn't come up with anything else? I wouldn't say stupid, I wouldn't go that aggressive. Because I don't know the individual circumstances. What I will say is that while I don't think there should be blanket against jokes which feature some element of race, I would say the better jokes, there is always an option for example, systemic racism jokes. And not a joke as in that is racist, a joke that points out racism. You know, I don't necessarily want to jump on this and try and make an example off the top of my head. Something, for example, about saying tongue-in-cheek how the police are definitely not more keen to search black men. Stuff like that. There are ways to do it. I have constant recurring jokes with my family because myself, my partner and our 2 daughters, I have jokes about how, you know, if there's an argument going on, it's always the woman that's at fault because women are the problem. Naturally, this is highlighting what the actual problem is by being sarcastic and satirical. There are ways to do things. As it says, Tom, I can see The Rock, Roman and Solo being the final 3 in the Royal Rumble. Personally, I think Drew McIntyre is going to win it, so I wouldn't go that far. Calvin says, I wonder if fans remember Billy Gunn's see-through thong trunks from 99. What if those are on Lost Treasure on A&E? Then I don't want them. H says, are AEW making profit after the new TV deal? Not at the moment, no. Scorpio says, I'm a black guy and I love and support your content. I know good people when I see them. By the way, watch the pig. Thank you, Scorpio. Appreciate that. I do try and ensure that diversity is welcome here. I want to make sure that whoever you are, you can find a home here as long as you're a decent person. That's why the rules of this channel are just good faith agreement. If you approach anything with bad faith, trying to troll, trying to rise, trying to get a response, you're not welcome. I don't know the colour of your skin. With a lot of you, I don't know your gender. I just know that you're here and that you like wrestling. And slowly but surely, I learn all your favourites. That's what I enjoy. Now, admittedly, I don't know many of you enough to know your struggles, to know your culture, to know the things that are important to you. That's difficult in this format. Very difficult, in fact. But I do think it's important to recognise individuals for their individual histories, because the history does inform the future. That got deep. Shah Games says, since you brought up Worked Wrestling, they mentioned Lillian Garcia is now full-time again. Can you give us the truth on that? I have absolutely no idea on that one. They did report that, but the only report I've seen on that is that she would be at Raw this week. We'll see what happens last week. Spider-Boss says, Raj Giri acted like nothing happened after his report about Mercedes Money getting fired by WWE ended up being false. He said she was released in the June. Now, to my knowledge, that is not the case. However, I don't believe it was proven one way or the other, which makes it awkward for both of us, really. Trekkapedi says, people are trying to say the Obafemi and Nikita relationship is bad. I don't see a problem with it. I'm just glad that she's back. They're happy. They're happy. Nothing else matters. I agree with that, Wiggly. He should have known better. Trekkapedi says, watch the pig, folks. AH says, can we see Wade Barrett and Nick Aldis wrestle in WWE? WWE are open to that. Appreciate that, Wiggly. Dawn says, hello all. Hello, Dawn. And Trekkapedi says, exactly, have fun, just enjoy the show. Aaron says, too much hate in the world at this point. It's becoming people's default. Yes, it is, and I agree with that, and I don't like it. It's one of the reasons I don't want to bring hate into this channel. When people are ridiculously negative, I want to call them out and say, that's not what we do here. I do feel like I'd be a lot more successful if I was going on massive rants, stating this person's an evil douchebag, and etc. I don't know, it sounds weird coming out of my mouth. And, you know, attacking people, I'd get more airtime because people would be sharing more of my clips. I'm not that guy. I don't want to be that guy. It's that simple. This guy says, what has been Paul Heyman's role when he's not an on-screen character? He's actually a lot more involved in creative than you'd think, and is a very good liaison to talent, particularly Bloodline, as you might expect. Trekkapedi says, everyone here in here is awesome. Made me feel welcome. I appreciate it. That's the sort of community I'm trying to build. I do want to foster that community feel. I do feel, unfortunately, I've not really been able to connect to you guys too much. But I always like when, for example, OLE, in many ways the sister channel here, our local establishment, have a lot of this community as part of their community, and in fact, as part of their hosts and on screen. I really like that. I really like that we're able to create that sort of stuff. There's plenty of areas where I feel that we're actually creating good stuff, and not just for the people who are here, but also helping the people who are here achieve some of their goals. If you have dreams in wrestling, I want to make them happen. If you're a content creator, let me know. Let's do some coaching. Let's try and make things happen, you know? That's the dream. Help each other to grow. Help each other to develop. That's all I want. Calvin says, do you see Theory and Waller being on NXT most of the time? I feel like Sean would know exactly what to do with them. They are going to be spending a bit of time on NXT just because, yeah, Triple H has largely forgotten them for now. Pardon me. So it does come down to what happens next. King Arthur says, do you think Roman is a bigger draw than the WWE Championship? No. Michael says he could be JD and constantly scream for no reason. I've never got that. I wouldn't go that far, Josh. I don't know enough about Sean Ross Sapp to say I'm the anti-him. I have had him blocked for more than 5 years. And honestly, it made my life so much better. Wiggly says, Tom, did you see the BBC News article about how WWE wrestlers are helping Trump? No, I'll have a look at that later. Age says, any update on Ricky Starks? Still signed to AEW. Chris says, spread love, not hate. Dan says, the amount of people that tell me I need to do the promo shit to get attention, because I can promo, but that's not me. No, I agree with that. I don't know you too well yet, Dan, and I feel more fool me for not taking that opportunity. But what I will say is that I know you can promo. I know you've got a lot to get off your chest, and I know you don't want that to define you and the people that you represent. You care about the people that you work with in a real, genuine way. It's one of the reasons I absolutely love your promotion. It's not just what you do, it's who you are. Calvin says, what other superstar can you see on Dancing with the Stars? I'd love to see AJ Styles on Dancing with the Stars. More likely, though, I see a Mandy Rose going there. That seems to really fit. I think there's possibility for... there's a few wrestlers that really fit the mold. A Tiffany Stratton, I feel, could work. Eva, member, are pretty deadly. I miss Fandango. He'd have been perfect for it. Big E. I want Big E. I want Big E on Dancing with the Stars. Wikipedia says, Tom, I can tell you're a good guy. I love how Wrestling Days and C Wrestling and you all promote each other. Wrestling Days and C Wrestling have done me many favours. They are much bigger than me, much more successful than me, and as I say, they have been a big help in the growth of this channel. Anything they need, they know they can reach out and get. I have nothing but time for them. Bailey says, Paul Heyman has a wealth of knowledge about what works in wrestling, which can only be a positive to younger talent. His story goes back to Vince McMahon Sr. and the WWF worldwide. Yeah, he says, is WWE interested in Josh Alexander and Gresham? Not that I'm aware of at this point in time, no. Next piece of news. Julia Hart has now confirmed by reporting that she is cleared and ready to return. She's seemingly just waiting for Mercedes' money to be available, but either way, it's a storyline that she is waiting for. WWE remain interested, but Julia Hart is still firmly under AEW contract and will be for a while yet. The House of Black may not still be as firmly in place when she returns, so there is an exploration at the moment with the new creative team as to what they can offer to Julia Hart that does not involve them. And a last thing I want to touch on, Triple H is said to be very, very happy with Karrion Kross's recent work, and he's eager to give Karrion Kross new opportunities. There was an element of manoeuvring the Wyatt Six into working with Karrion Kross at this point in time. It looks like a move on from Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston as they move in a different direction, but the Wyatt Six and Karrion Kross, and in fact the entire Final Testament, are now in play together. There is talk of a Scarlett Bordeaux versus Nikki Cross match, though we'll see how that goes because WWE is still not said to be too excited about Scarlett Bordeaux in the ring. They're waiting to see more there. But Triple H is thrilled with Karrion Kross's recent work, and WWE backstage are said to be hiring him all over again. Spider-Boss says, what does Triple H think about Raquel Rodriguez's current run with Liv and the Judgment Day? It has just started. He's eager to get more under the belt. Spider-Boss says Naomi and Carmella would fit on Dancing with the Stars. Good shout. Naomi would be fantastic. Shah Game says the NXT women's roster is incredibly good right now. Can't help but be concerned they'll get the Kiana James treatment on the main roster. Should I be? Yes and no. Depends who it is. Roxanne's not going to vanish. There's others who might. As it says, Tom, can you see WWE telling the story of John Cena chasing the 17th World Championship? Yes, I don't see him succeeding though. Calvin says, what surprise entries can you see in the men and women's Royal Rumble matches? Very, very small amounts. Triple H is not a fan of those sort of matches. Kai, I can't imagine why I would. This guy says, timeline on Gigi Dolan and Shotzi return. Shotzi should be back relatively soon. They just have nothing for her. For Gigi Dolan, it'll be a little while longer. I don't expect to see her this year. Wikipedia once again thinks my name is Tomorrow. Says, thank you for streaming today. Hope everyone has a great day and a weekend. And at this point, I will, of course, be wrapping up. We've been live for 50 minutes. We've shared plenty of news, had 47 likes, and we peaked at 94 viewers. I want to say a massive thank you to all of you for continuing to join us on Spoiler Warning. I am currently putting together a new concept, and Dan, I'm going to send you a quick message after this with this because I'd love your feedback. A new concept on a unique and interesting, I hope, long form video style, because the shorts are doing well, the lives are doing well. Let's just find something for the long form as well, and then we'll keep that trident going. But until then, I want to say a massive thank you to all of you. I've been Tom Colohue, you have been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.